Welcome to ProjectME the Podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multi-millionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME the Podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You are listening to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, episode 24, 3 tips on getting free press attention for your business. You guys, this episode alone, I would say is easily worth about $20,000 to $30,000 of information, given that I know how much individual publicists costs to hire and retain, along with if you were hiring, a PR firm itself. So I wanted to give you some 3 tips that were actually actionable that you could implement starting today. And you wouldn't have to hire that publicist. Now, at some point in businesses, it makes great sense to hire a publicist, but that is not usually until you're bringing in heavy, heavy cash. And by that, I mean like $1 million of revenue. It's rare that I would advise any of my private clients or group clients to hire and retain a high-level publicist until you're at that mark. Because a lower-level publicist, not that they can't get you some press attention, but you want press attention that converts into sales, that actually does something for you. Not just, you know how they have that line of, any press is good press? There is some truth to that, but when you're putting dollars behind it, you want to be able to see some kind of a return. So I would rather you wait until you're at a level to hire, a top tier firm or a top tier publicist who is pretty much, they can guarantee you media hits, TV appearances, etc. So until you hit that point, right? And even if you do have a publicist, these are some things you can ask them to do if they're not doing. But I have a feeling a majority of you are like, we are nowhere near that point, or really would rather try it in-house first versus spending all that cash. So the first tip that I have is more of a refinement, okay? You have to look at it in the minds of the person receiving the information. And as you guys know, I'm a former NBC, CBS newscaster, and I have many, many, many friends, longtime friends that I've known since college who are in the news business. A lot of them are behind the scenes. So they are the people, the producers, the news directors. These are the people that decide who comes on the air, when they come on the air, who we should book, and even the people who cipher through all of the media releases, the emails, etc. So I know exactly what they are looking for firsthand, and I know what they are looking for from, top tier network to small local stations to, national magazine publications, etc. And there's one thing in common that is going to get their attention. And it's sexy sells. And no, I don't mean you're sending them a picture of yourself in a bathing suit, okay? What I mean is it needs to have a captivating headline. They're no different than the rest of us when we see a headline that is like, really grabs our attention. They're no different. They're humans too. So you have to think of how many hundreds and thousands of emails and press releases these people get across their desk per day, and you need to be able to stand out. And what gives you a better chance is by having a headline that is really relevant and really sexy. It's really grabs someone's attention, but it has to pertain to your business, right? You can't be, talking about something to do with how something about the keto diet, because that's like, a big thing going on right now. But you're really teaching people, how to create a better life for themselves by thinking differently or something like that. That would make no sense, right? So it has to parlay into your business. And put yourself in someone else's shoes, okay? They're doing you a favor. So you have to have it appeal to them. And they're trying to piece together a show, a magazine, a newspaper, radio that sells, that's compelling, that's interesting to their viewers. So first you want to do your research and find out what publications, what radio programs, what blogs, what TV programs focus in your niche. So if your niche has anything to do with health and fitness, you want to go there. In my case, it's business, sales, marketing, PR. That would be the home where I'm at. If you are someone who's in real estate, right, you would want it to be investing, real estate, and that type of a niche. So you need to go after those publications where you're best paired with. Don't just, send it to, NBC Los Angeles and expect them to go, oh my God, this is amazing. You just need to make sure it makes sense with their audience, right? Because they're looking for unique pieces of content and unique people and unique stories that would be highly relevant to their audience, whether it's impactful, informative, or entertaining. Okay. So they like feel-good stories too. So also, when you are looking at especially like TV stations or magazines, right, and newspapers, there is always like a health segment, a business section, a fashion section. So make sure that when you are going after or sending things, you're sending them to the right people. You're sending it to the fashion editor at Glamour magazine. You're sending it to the business section editor of the LA Times. Don't just send it to, the general box, right? Make it easy for them. And the easier you make it for these people, the higher likelihood they're going to do something with their stuff. You make it cumbersome, or within a couple seconds, they can't figure out who the hell you are or what the hell you're talking about. You're done. And it's done, and they've moved on. Now they're on like 10 other emails at that point. So you need to see what's sexy, what's interesting about your business that is not a headline that you've seen a million times out there. And even if you do a new twist or a new angle on a headline that you see a lot out there, that's really cool. So I would say that's the first thing. And if you want to, you guys, since you're my ProjectME peeps, on Instagram, ProjectMe_with_Tiffany. If you DM me some of your headline ideas, I'll get back to you immediately and I'll let you know, yep, that's great, or no, tweak it this way. So you're getting free advice here, you guys. So I would take advantage of that. I'm still amazed at how many followers I have and how few DMs I get asking me specific questions for help on specific things, even though I offer it all the time. It blows my mind. You guys have such a resource out there. And I know I'm not the only one who offers this, but you have such a resource out there of a wealth of information from top experts who are at certain points in their career where they're wanting to give back. Take advantage of it. I mean, I'm not answering it. I'm not just like offering this just for the hell of it to sound good. You'd be able to tell pretty quickly if I'm full of shit based on if I write you back or not. So I really highly suggest you guys send me your headlines. And when I say headlines, I don't just mean like headlines in a press release. I mean, you put that headline in the subject line of the email, and I'll let you know if it's sexy enough or not. Okay. So tip 2, once you have that angle, that sexy selling angle of whatever you sell, whether you have a jewelry business, a car business, you're in real estate, you're a business coach, you're a health coach, whatever it is, then what you can do is you can start DMing, right, via Instagram, or you can do it through Facebook Messenger. You can start DMing podcasters, including myself, by the way, DMing podcasters with that sexy headline and then with a link where they can read who the hell you are, like your bio or whatever. Because yes, they can click and go on your Facebook page, or they can click and go on your Instagram account. But it's much easier if you just include a link in there where they can click and it can go right to your bio. Of course, Molly's barking. This is why she should not be allowed in studio. Anyway, so we can easily click and see who you are, or in my case, like my coordinator can just see who you are quickly and see if you're a good fit. But put that in there, like what you can talk about and why you think you're a good fit for the show. So I know you don't have time to literally go on to every single podcaster's every single podcaster's show and download an episode and listen to it. That would be ideal. For someone you really for sure want to be on their show, I would advise at least listening to an episode or two and seeing if it's a good fit, because the more customized you can make this pitch, so to speak, the higher the likelihood you'll get on the show. Recently, I have someone, and the show's not aired yet. I recently had someone who is a writer for pay, who proactively did exactly that. Reached out to me via DM on wanting to be on the show and what he would want to talk about and why that would be valuable and helpful to our listeners. And guess what? We booked him. And I never thought about actually having a writer on. And it did make a lot of sense. And it was that easy. So, and it wasn't some long drawn out DM. He kept it very short and simple, and it was customized. I didn't feel like he was just copying and pasting this into 25 different podcasters' accounts, which he may have, but he wrote it in such a way, hence he's a writer, where it felt very customized and unique. So you can literally start doing that today. So again, make sure you include your sexy headline, why you think you're a good fit for that show and their audience, and some, just a couple quick like talking points that you feel their audience could really benefit from and get high value from, and include a link to your bio. So if it's your, about me page on your website, include that link so someone can easily scroll through your background. And listen, I would give yourself a goal. Do 3 a day, send 3 a day, send 5 a day, depending on how ambitious you are. I don't care. Send 10 a day. There are tons of podcasts out there. And so it's sales. Pitching is sales. Media is no different. It's sales. So just go out there and give yourself a number of how many per day that you'll go after. And I guarantee you will get booked. Even on some of the more, popular shows that have been around longer. I mean, they run out of guests too. I mean, they want new and unique people too. Otherwise, what happens is you end up having the same guests on that everyone has on. Now your show's not unique. That's why we love at ProjectME getting entrepreneurs at all different levels of business, whether they're just starting or they have a side hustle or they're a multi-millionaire or, they're worth over 100 million, whatever it is. We like having such a variety and not having on the same people everyone else has on, even though the interview would be unique, right? Because I'm a different person and I'm unique in how I interview and what questions I ask. But we want to hear from, people that you might not normally hear from, like some people that you could actually relate to a little more closely. So you guys can start doing that right as of today. But if I were you, I would send me your sexy headline first, so that you can kind of run it through a barometer test, and I can tell you if it passes the test or not and give you a suggestion. But then you can go ahead and go out there and make that goal for yourself. If you have an assistant or a virtual assistant, I highly suggest you writing the copy for them, so then they can copy and paste and add something personal, at least the person's name or something like that. Sometimes with virtual assistants, given English is their second, third, fourth language, it can turn off American and Canadian-based podcasters when they're getting really poorly written DMs or Facebook messengers. It almost kind of makes it seem like you have a bot doing it, and it kind of turns people off. So just make sure you're writing it for them. That's actually like a sub tip to number 2. Okay. Number 3, the third and final tip. For businesses that are a little more established. And by that, I mean, I want to always define it, right? Because everyone defines things differently. This is how I would define it. This is how my high-level business coach defines it. A business that you have a full-fledged website. It doesn't have to be super fancy, but it looks very professional and polished. You have social media pages. You have content on them, and not just like a couple posts. You have legit, good, valuable content, and it's very clear what you do and how you make money, or if it's that you are, a speaker or something like that. It's very clear. If you're someone who makes gourmet baked goods, and that's very clear. So you have those things set up. Even if you're not making a ton of money yet, you need to have some sales though. But you don't have to be making a ton of money to do this third and final step. As long as you're more established, otherwise you're kind of wasting your time. And this is to go after specifically TV opportunities, which really is the holy grail, as I call it, in terms of a PR. We want to be on TV. You are getting not just the TV exposure, even if it's like a really small like cable station or something. You are getting professional grade video of you and being interviewed by professionals, and you can then use that high-end video production, which would cost you tens of thousands of dollars to recreate. You can then use that as content on all of your social pages and on their website, because it's going to go out publicly. So they'll allow you to be able to take the full segment, as long as you're properly tagging them and such, take the full segment and repurpose it and use it on all of your stuff. And it adds a huge credibility factor. It makes me kind of laugh sometimes, because people get so focused on the fact that I was a TV newscaster, which was quite some time ago. And sometimes I think it's so interesting how much how much value and how much credibility that adds to me, even though I have a 7-figure business. But it's just how human nature thinks. And also, people know it is not easy to get on TV. It does take work. They don't just bring anyone on. You have to have something going on to get on TV, right? So people know that. So it's a major credibility factor. So here's what I would say for businesses who, you do have some sales and you have all the background stuff. Okay. I'm repeating it just so you can make sure you hear me, is that you have a website. It doesn't have to be customized $30,000 website, but it's very professional looking. It's clean. You have a nice name. You have a nice logo. You have your bio. You have your story. It's very clear what you do, your mission, what you sell. You have at least 3 social media pages that you have regular content on. Like, for example, I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We also have Pinterest as well. So you have regular content on those. Like if people start scrolling to see what types of stuff you post, you have different pictures, whether it's of, the jewelry that you sell or the baked goods that you create for people, or the customized cars that you do for people. Whatever it is, it's very clear. And some sales. Again, you don't have to even have $5,000 in a month in sales to be able to get on the news, but you need to have some sales, right? The sales gives you, number 1, confidence in order to pitch yourself. Number 2, you're likely going to be asked a question about your business, and you don't want to be embarrassed and say, oh, I don't have any revenue yet. Not good. So what I want you to do is to go after local small network TV stations. And what I mean by that is I don't mean the top markets, right? I don't mean New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles. I'm talking those small stations that are in small towns that are maybe you have one already in where you live, or, it's 100 miles or so from where you live. I can give you an example based in Los Angeles. Okay. So someone who meets the qualifications, like I just said, to get in the media on a prime station like NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, in Los Angeles, very, very difficult. It's totally possible, but you're going to have a lot higher of a credibility factor to get on. Okay. And plus there's also so many more people and much more noise and traffic coming through from aggressive publicists, from publicists with relationships. It's just harder to get on. So I want you to go after the small town station. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Southern California, but I would say go to the stations in San Luis Obispo. Go to the stations in Bakersfield. Even San Diego, I would say, is a little bit too big of a market. I would say go after Palm Springs market. So there's some examples right there. So like if you're in Texas, right? Texas is a perfect example because there are so many smaller stations that are affiliate networks. So don't go after Dallas, but maybe go after San Antonio or Austin, some of those smaller town stations where there isn't as much noise. Now, those stations are looking for people who are local. So you're going to have not just the sexy headline, but you're going to have a local angle. But maybe you are from that town, or your parents were raised in that town, or your grandparents are from that town, or maybe you visit that town all the time, or maybe a large chunk of your client base is in that town. You can find an angle where it would make sense. And then you go after, right? You pitch yourself to those people. A lot of the newscasters, especially on the small stations, right? They include their Twitter handle, sometimes their Instagram handle, and you can DM them. If as long as you make it relevant, there's a chance they'll pass that on to their producer. Or if you go on the actual affiliate website, there's usually an email on there that will tell you who to email for story ideas, etc. So you want to go after those local small town affiliates. You have a much higher chance. But what you need to make sure you do, in addition to that sexy headline, is you need to have an angle, a local angle. Those small stations, we'll use Palm Springs as an example, because for those of you who are listening from even all over the world, most people have heard of Palm Springs, California. So, and also Las Vegas is a good example. Even though that's not in California, that's a small enough station. But you need to make sure there is a local angle. So let me think of an example. I don't know why I keep wanting to use customized cars. Maybe that's because my fiance is in the car business. So let's just use customized cars. Okay. So you have a client that you did their customized car who lives in Palm Springs. Maybe one of their homes is in Palm Springs, but so what? As long as the car is there, you can pitch the station with your sexy headline, something to do with, the new way to cruise Palm Springs, or, something like that. And you include a picture of the car, obviously with permission of the owner, and you tell your story and what, the whole angle is, there is a Palm Springs angle, but it's on the whole trend of having customized vehicles, having your cars wrapped or having them all blacked out or something like that. As far as maybe let's use a different line of business. Maybe you're someone who, it has jewelry, or you do some sort of wearable, some kind of jewelry, or you make cool journal stickers or something like that. Okay. If that's more of your thing, find a local angle. Again, you can tie it back to that's where your grandmother lives, or maybe that's a town you vacationed in Palm Springs where you got the idea for your business and look where it is today. So there's easy ways you can tie it in. It's not always super obvious for every business, but that's why I'm offering for you guys to DM me and I will help navigate you. Okay. If you want a higher level, one-on-one, navigation through this process, then you can apply to work one-on-one with me or in a group format with me, and we can see if we're a good fit. I offer that as well. But I really want you guys to try this out. Okay. This is free. I know you can do it. It's just about your messaging and remembering these people get, I'm not even exaggerating. I'm even talking like a small affiliate station, hundreds of emails a day, hundreds, DMs, emails, all of it. So many a day, and you need to stand out. I will end with this. Okay. Some people who have it in their budget, who really want to stand out, especially if they are selling a product. Okay. Jewelry, baked goods, t-shirts, hats, whatever it is. So like a tangible item. I will say what works really well, especially in local newspapers, local type magazines, local TV affiliate news stations, is when you actually send like FedEx or UPS, not US postage mail. It needs to be like UPS, FedEx, and you send in a box a full press kit. Like old school, in person, not just electronic. You send a press kit and you're sending it to a specific journalist. So you pick a specific journalist, it's being sent to them, and they're getting one of your bracelets, or they're getting one of your journals, or a pair of, eyeglasses, or, a cute tank top, and they're getting it and you're pitching it through that way. Much fewer people do it because, well, number one, it's more work, and number two, it costs more money. I don't recommend sending food through the mail to these people because they are very cautious about that sort of thing. But there are other things you can do if you have food-based sales that I can help you out with if you DM me. But for things that are non-edible, and certainly don't send like supplements or anything like that either. They're not going to try it, because you have to understand there's wackadoodles out there that send really weird shit to media stations, especially TV stations. And there's no way in a million years that any of us would ever try anything that's ingestible. The only thing I could say that we would try is if it was a more well-known brand and it was like a cream or a lotion, and it was a brand that's like sold in stores and you knew it was coming from their publicist, or it was coming from them, then that's different. But when you're not known, you don't know where someone made that, and you don't know if it's a kook job who put, something weird in there. So that's not going to work. So I hope that these 3 tips on getting free press attention for your business has kind of sparked something in you. And again, don't get too overwhelmed when I, went all the way to the TV path. Just take one step. Start with your sexy headline, start by DMing it to me, and then you can go out there and start getting on a variety of podcasts. This will also help you refine your message when you're being interviewed and get more and more comfortable at talking about it. And also it will offer some credibility when you're going after maybe print publications that you've been interviewed many times. And I can always tell when someone has refined their message when they've been interviewed enough times. It's really obvious to me, and I appreciate that. It makes for a much smoother interview and a much more fun process. So as always, wishing you guys the best health, wealth, and worth. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.